The Women's March officially cut ties with 3 founding board members, Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, and Bob Bland, following years of controversy and accusations of anti-Semitism.
The organization appointed 16 new board members, but critics say some of them hold the same extreme views.
Here to discuss is president of the Independent Women's Voice and host of Get Tammy Bruce on Fox Nation. Yeah. Tammy Bruce.
Hi there. Good morning.
What do you think?
Well, I think that it's pretty clear that these initial 3 individuals had caused some major damage to the Women's March. One of the founding members, who I believe now lives in Hawaii, called for them to resign, I think early last year, saying, look, this is not what we are doing. But the problem is when there's no real leadership, the left does move in historically, takes over important issues and rides it to death. The fact is that this is part of my point is that the Women's March is not a one-off. It's not an unusual situation. We see the same thing happening throughout the left, including in the Democratic Party. Right? You've got these far leftists, socialists, and within that attachment usually is anti-Semitism, is an anti-Israel sentiment, and a desire for victimhood, reinforcing divisions amongst people, which requires, of course, sexism, racism, and homophobia, fueling those aspects. And so we see that happening also in the Democratic Party. Now, the difference is that here with a group, you can ask people to resign or have them leave. When someone's been elected, it's going to take, of course, people in a district to decide whether or not that's leadership at all, and if it's how they want to be represented. So I think the Women's March is almost like a microcosm of what's happening for the liberal constituency in America, which is not leftist and is not socialist. And yet that's how now it's being represented. The new people they've replaced these 3 with, and there's even more, are similar in ideology. One of them, a Palestinian activist, compared America to Nazi Germany. Another one compared the Israeli Defense Forces to ISIS. So it's also a reflection of this desire for conformity, that there's no real room for people who now think differently than this. And so they're having more people join up in leadership who hold the same sort of ideology.
What do they stand for? What is the Women's March? What are their ideas?
Well, see, that's the other problem. Independent Women's Voice has a counter march when they've had their march called the March for All Women. Right? It's clearly not about women at all. It's about the leftist ideology, leftist policies, the climate change, extremism, just being anti-Trump. So if you're a woman and you don't conform, that you actually like the president, that you think for yourself, you're not welcome. We saw in the very beginning in the first one, pro-life groups were not welcomed either for women who are pro-life or women of faith where that is an aspect for them. So it was never about women at all. It's been about pushing the leftist agenda.
So let's talk about Linda Sarsour. She has tweeted some wonderful things, like nothing is creepier than Zionism, challenge racism. She writes, underwear bomber was the hashtag CIA all along. That's and awesome. She is a big Bernie Sanders supporter still.
Yeah, you know, it just tells you when it comes to the establishment, leftists, that they will come together. Obviously, that's convenient for her to say, oh, look, I'm supporting a Jewish man. But it's about the entire leftist framework. And shame on Bernie Sanders for allowing that attachment because it's about women's lives, whether or not our lives are being improved, the lives of Americans in general, no matter who you are, whether you're Jewish or Christian or atheist, whether you're a man or a woman. All of this is to keep these conversations about division and about hostility and about hating other people. And I think that we all must stand up. But again, Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Party, and what regular Democrats are seeing is a complete deconstruction of what classical liberalism is, and it's certainly not this.
Check out her show on Fox Nation. Tammy Bruce, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tammy. Great being with you.